The time period in my book, The Very Fine Light, begins before Thanksgiving through Christmas time. It's a timely gift for the friend looking for some Christmas spirit. Part 2 remembers there's an excerpt from my book, The Constant Procession, about the story of St. Juan Diego's apparition of the Virgin Mary in Guadalupe in the 1500s. Nico Steves here. I'm hearing from some readers that they plan to give gift copies of The Very Fine Light as Christmas presents this year. Just so you know, there is a quick and easy way for doing this on my book's Amazon.com page for ease when sending the book as a present. Plus, it will get to them very quickly. This podcast finds the third week of Advent that celebrates joy over the idea that Christ is about to come into the world, which couples nicely with those who are keeping the Nativity Fast, where we can see light ahead, His light coming closer. And now comes the quickening pace of the season, creating a mixture of emotions that we can easily experience as we become part of the harried in-town traffic. For every one person totally focused on shopping for gifts, there is another who is having to purchase an unexpected appliance. So what do we get in the surrounding media broadcasts and social outlets? There is a strange mix of Christmas classic songs, and those classics these days are part of a very short list of the so-called best of best. To me, it's strange to hear a 1940s era standard classic played with greater and greater frequency these days, and they are now mixed in with classics from the 1960s, the 1970s, the 1990s. Coupled with those since the turn of this recent century, the most popular new ones from the 2020s. Fortunately, the third Advent candle is now lit and recognized to be the time for renewing our joy, and how necessary this is. It's a confirmation for where we are in the time leading up to the Nativity of Christmas. Yes, the big day is worthy of us taking a break from all the tension that inevitably comes up at this time of year. And hopefully in the Nativity Fast, there's a meditative contemplation of what is the meaning for Jesus Christ caring so much for us that He willingly came into the world. The end of the fast is not only nearer, but it is going to burst forth with a wonderful moment when Christ arrives. And now, segments from the audiobook version of The Very Fine Light. Chapter 19. The snowstorm continued, growing more intense. Julie sat up in a rigid position and glared at Randy, who smiled back. "Gotta use this if we're going to go anywhere," he said politely. Julie tried to slide towards Mikey, but there was almost no leeway. Without a word, Randy pushed the stick forward and away from Julie's torso and turned his truck around. The truck struggled to gain traction as it headed where he had just come from. As they continued driving, Julie kept staring out the front window. Randy would occasionally downshift the powerful four-wheel drive vehicle to keep it moving as the storm continued to rage. "I can't see anything," Mikey said as he moved his head from the front window and then looking out the side window. "Just be careful," Julie said abruptly. Randy looked at her. She frowned at him. Then he turned to face forward. Julie screamed, "Look out!" Dead ahead sat the stalled ambulance on the narrow bridge. Randy jerked the steering wheel, causing the pickup to spin. Though the forward momentum of the truck made it travel closer to the ambulance, Randy punched the gas while the truck was still spinning. The four wheels responded to their master's touch and broke the spin, but now the truck headed towards an old oak tree. Wanting to avoid a head-on collision, Randy pressed down hard on the clutch pedal while turning the steering wheel to the left. An immediate loss of power to the wheels, combined with the weight of the truck as it traveled across a drift of crusty snow, bogged it down. The pickup came to a stop just a hair's breadth before the oak tree. All Randy could see was his ever-present religious medallion staring at him from the dashboard. Chef Joe's mom, the ambulance driver, rushed over to Randy's door. "Please help us. We've got a child with appendicitis in the ambulance, and we're stuck, and the engine won't start." "Okay, I'll give you a tow," Randy shouted and carefully backed up to the stranded ambulance. Mikey forced open the passenger door, and Randy tossed Mikey a flashlight that had an extruded, cone-shaped red plastic tip. "Here, turn this on and go watch for cars in the rear. Be ready to jump on the back of the ambulance's bumper when we move, 'cause once we get going, I won't stop." He then turned to the EMT. "Ma'am, get in your ambulance and put it in neutral. When I'm ready to pull, I'll blink my lights 3 times. Then just follow my lead." The ambulance driver nodded. Mikey squinted in an effort to spot any cars coming through the blizzard. Randy looked at Julie. "I'm afraid you're going to have to stand on my pickup truck's running board with the door open and watch as the chain gets taut. Then yell out so the ambulance driver and I can hear." Julie nodded, and everyone went to their positions. Randy pulled out a long, heavy chain from the box in the pickup bed. He then quickly attached one end to his trailer hitch and the other end to the ambulance's tow hook underneath the front bumper. Mikey had a hard time running through the drifting snow towards the back of the ambulance. What if another car comes too fast and hits the ambulance? The thought frightened him. Randy hopped into his truck and blinked his lights 3 times, then rode the clutch, inching his pickup truck forward. "Okay, it's okay," Julie shouted as soon as the chain between the 2 vehicles was taut. Randy now gave his truck full power. The tires on his pickup truck dug in, but the ambulance would not budge. He tried again, but no results. Fortunately, on the 3rd attempt, the ambulance finally inched forward. Randy did not stop. The ambulance moved slowly off the bridge. Mikey jumped onto the rear bumper of the ambulance and held on. Randy's truck strained under the load, but successfully pulled the ambulance to the modest county hospital located at the village's edge. The emergency room team ran out and opened the ambulance doors. Julie, happy at their success, punched Randy in the arm and ran back to the ambulance as the ER team rushed the ill child onto a gurney and through the ER's large swinging doors. The ambulance driver flashed her lights at Randy. "Watch the chain," Randy said. Mikey watched the chain pull taut. "Okay," he yelled. Randy now pulled the ambulance away from the ER entrance and over to a parking spot. As he got out to unfasten the chain, Julie and the ambulance driver came over, both looking relieved. "Thanks for the lift, pal," the ambulance driver said. "No problem," Randy said. There's an excerpt from my book, The Constant Procession, about the story of St. Juan Diego's apparition of the Virgin Mary in Guadalupe in the 1500s. The year is 1531. It is rainy, cold, and a windy morning the first week of December. As church services began in the wee hours of the morning, a native who had been converted to Christianity set out on his trek to the church in what is now Mexico City. He lived to the north on the outskirts of the city. In the path between his hometown and the downtown city is a large stone outcrop which stood out above the swamp-like landscape. Juan Diego hears music and sees lights begin to radiate on the top of this hill. He notices a cloud that forms at the center of this unusual display. It is silent and very quiet as the morning first comes around. All at once, streaks of light burst from the low-hanging cloud. Amazed at the sight, Juan stops to look up. He hears something. To his amazement, it seems to be a woman's voice. It sounds to him as though she is calling his name. Shocked, he becomes frozen where he stands. Again and again, he is sure she is saying, "Juan Diego! Juan Diego! Juan Diego!" His curiosity gets the better of him, and he climbs towards the top of the hill, where he discovers in the center of the cloud the lady. She is beautiful and radiant. "Juan Diego, my son, where are you going?" An account by Francis Johnston continues from his book, The Wonder of Guadalupe. When translated in English, Juan Diego replies, "Noble lady, I am on my way to Mass." The Madonna continued, "Know for certain, dearest, that I am the perfect and perpetual Virgin Mary, Mother of the true God, through whom everything lives, the Lord of all things, who is Master of heaven and earth. I ardently desire a teocalli, a temple, be built here for worship of my Son. It will be a place where I will show and offer all my love, my compassion, my help, and my protection to the people. I am your merciful mother, the mother of all who live united in this land, and of all mankind, of all who love me, of those who cry to me, of those who have confidence in me. Here I will hear their weeping and their sorrows, and will remedy and alleviate their sufferings, necessities, and misfortunes. Therefore, in order to realize my intentions, go to the house of the Bishop of Mexico City, and tell him that I sent you, and that it is my desire to have a temple built here. Tell him all that you have seen and heard. Be assured that I have been very grateful, and will reward you for doing diligently what I have asked of you. Now that you hear my words, my son, go and do everything best as you can. Humbled by Her Majesty, Juan Diego accepts the remarkable request. Descending the rocky slopes in wonderment, he makes his way to town. In a tentative state, because he realizes his humble appearance and daybreak call to Bishop Zumarraga may not be greeted with enthusiasm. The kind bishop, along with a translator of the Aztec language, listens to the amazing request from Juan Diego. Though impressed by the sincerity, the bishop asks a number of questions about Gospels, his occupation, and religious practices. Shaking his head, the bishop tells Juan Diego to come back another time and that he would reflect on the story. With heavy heart, Juan Diego approaches the rocky hill, certain that he will find the apparition. Bowing low in admiration, he tells her of the bishop's response and begs forgiveness for failing her. Entrust this message to someone of importance, someone well known and respected, so that your wishes will be accomplished, for I am but a lowly peasant, and you, my lady, have sent me to a place where I have no standing. Forgive me if I have disappointed you for having failed in my mission. This statement of Juan Diego's helped to convince Pope John Paul II, 500 years later, to elevate Juan Diego to the status of saint. In his address on the same location in the year 2002, the Pope said, quote, "By his humble and noble manner, Juan Diego takes his rightful place in history. His modest demeanor and belief that he is not the best of people to carry out this request summons a mild soul, not a self-contained ego, but rather speaks from the heart." Unquote. The account continues. Mother Mary tenderly replies, "Listen to me, my dearest son, and understand that I have many servants and messengers whom I could charge with the delivery of my message. I urge you to go to the bishop again tomorrow. Tell him in my name, and make him fully understand my disposition that he should undertake the erection of the temple for which I ask. And repeat to him that it is I in person, the ever Virgin Mary, the Mother of God, who sent you." The next day, brushing aside fear of humiliation and being mauled by the guard dogs, Juan Diego murmurs a prayer to the Blessed Virgin before arriving. Greeted at the bishop's residence with disdain, he is kept waiting in the cold for a long time. Bishop Zumarraga, surprised to see him back so soon, is embarrassed as Juan Diego drops to his knees and tearfully pleads and begs, imploring the bishop to do as the Virgin requested. Unsure what to think, with great care the bishop asks Juan Diego, "Where did you see her? How long did she stay?" The native Mexican tells the same story as he had the day before with great sincerity. Though impressed by Juan Diego and his sincerity, the bishop did not want to commit to building a temple at such a remote spot on the basis of one Indian's unproven testimony. Concerned that the man could have some form of self-delusion, he decides the best way to determine just what to believe. He instructs Juan Diego to bring some sort of a sign from heaven. Eager, and with renewed hope that the bishop believes in his experience, Juan Diego asks what sort of a sign did the bishop want. Bishop Zumarraga hesitates, then says he will leave it up to the apparition to provide the sign. The bishop's men follow Juan Diego, but they lose him in the ravine by the hill. Juan Diego throws himself at her feet. "Juanito, what is the matter, my little son?" He had done the best he could, but he failed. Would the lady give him some kind of a sign to convince the bishop? "Go to the spot where you saw me before. There you will find many flowers. Gather them carefully." Using his apron-like coat, known as a tilma, to hold the flowers, descending the hill, he approaches the lady, who is in an oval blaze of light. He approaches and opens his apron to reveal the flowers. The lady begins to arrange them with her own hands. These varied flowers are the sign which you are to take to the bishop. Tell him everything. Explain how I sent you to the top of the hill, where you found these flowers growing in profusion, all ready to be gathered. Tell him once again all that you have seen and heard here, to induce him to comply with my wishes, so that the chapel I asked for may be built here. Beyond the out-of-season flowers getting his attention, the bishop is amazed to see an image of the Mother of Christ on the inside of the tilma. All the other men in the room fall to their knees upon seeing the miraculous image. The apparition indeed came to see the bishop. Word of the event spreads throughout the city. The following morning, throngs of people follow the sacred image as it is carried to the cathedral. The bishop and his party follow Juan to the spot where he saw the apparition. Bishop Zumarraga puts into works the immediate building of a small chapel on the spot. Well, this is Nico Steves. I hope you enjoyed this installment. My book, The Very Fine Light, can be found using the title, The Very Fine Light, on Amazon.com. Please feel free to contact me at nicosteves.com. That's Nikos Steves, Steves.com. If you like this episode, and for more, share them with friends. Well, this is Nico Steves. Thank you. See you next time.